I've been playing horror games for years, and so I thought I'd turn to the king of horror, Scooby-Doo. Now, I've been watching Scooby-Doo for pretty much most of my life, and yeah, I gotta pick with the goats themselves. Pretty cool, am I right? Having aliens, zombies, ghosts, yep, you name it, Scooby-Doo has it. So I decided to play Scooby-Doo First Frights and the sequel, Spooky Swamp. After playing Sonic Chronicles, it's nice to finally play a game that has a sequel. I'll be able to spend hours enjoying a sequel, right? Right? I think I'm getting ahead of myself. First off, First Frights first starts with Velma taking her first steps. Okay, I'll stop. The game starts with what looks like an actual start of an episode, with voice acting and even a laugh track. For all the young people, this is what they used to have, so you would know when something is funny. Yeah, old TV was weird when you think about it. The gang then finds out about a food festival, and with there being an eating competition too, we get to head off just to have Daphne say that we're going to her cousin's talent show, when it's actually a musical. Maybe the writers forgot midway through writing the script. Episode 1 begins with Daphne's cousin Anna practicing for a musical just to have the Phantom of the Opera swoop down into a loading screen. The gang arrives and then sneaks into the school, breaking everything in sight, and yes, this is pretty much a Lego game without the building. Turning on the floodlights just to have a bunch of skeletons spy on us and then die. It's crazy to think we're just beating up school kids in costumes here. Did I mention we found a glove? These are clues. Each episode has up to 4 clues to help us figure out who the villain is. Finding a witch, killing a witch, the gang is finally inside. Scooby and Shaggy look for more clues just to have the Phantom chase them down. These are the best levels in the game, and I wish they went on for longer. They only go on for around a minute and a half, if even that, but I remember as a kid replaying these levels just to see the big bad monster. Escaping, we enter level 2 and find another clue, Coach's whistle. How strange to be in a library. Who do you think it is so far? Well, before you make up your mind, Miss Hilkin is apparently never seen when the Phantom is around, as the game likes to keep reminding me. Now it's boss time, baby. And I'm not gonna lie, this boss theme goes hard.
I don't know why they even put it on that day. Oh no, what I say? Come now, Skulls. That's your cue. Show these kids what you can do.
Fighting the drama kids dressed up as skeletons and messing with the stage lights, we attack the big man himself and watch him die. I mean, come on, man. No one's surviving that. And get to guess who we think the villain is. Going over the clues we found, you get a bit more insight on who it could be, with the coach's whistle and white gloves found in the baseball pitch. So who do you think it is? Well, it's the coach. The first episode acting more of a tutorial rather than needing to think of who it could be. But let me tell you, when you guess it wrong, you feel like a massive dumbass. But if you guess it right, you get to keep the boss's mask in your collection. Guess it wrong, well, I hope you like replaying the fight. The second episode starts with a security guard having the shit scared out of him from a giant robot. We then find the circus amusement park thing is closed, so you know what that means. Time to go to the sewers. Floating down on a raft, we leave and find ourselves inside the park and find killer toys with the toy tag. Hard cut, we get ambushed by a group of pumpkins wearing Reaper outfits, holding scythes, rolling on roller skates just to say no you. Killing them all and then finding a killer clown. A bit more platforming, a bit more sandwich making. We are told where to head next. The haunted house.
Haunted?
Having Daphne and Velma in a sumo outfit for some reason, we traverse the haunting of the house, find a kid that almost takes permanent fall damage, and get another clue. Being a toy detector, something from the kid we just met, only to get jumped by Pyrocynical's next commission. Shaggy and Scooby are met with the giant robot in another chase level. Collecting more medallions, we escape and get our next clue, a toy catalog. We then meet this weirdo talking about the toy maker, implying that he himself knows him and that can take us to him, only to have the kid straight up use a rocket launcher, almost crushing him and then fleeing. Brother, what? I was so confused on what was even going on at this point, but we head into the toy factory and get attacked by everything inside. Finding another clue, the toy maker's top hat. At this point, I thought the toy maker was also the owner of the park, the kid was a terrorist, and the security guard was... well, he's chill. But now it's boss time. But not before Velma activates the robot herself. Like, why? Just go over and see who's inside. Beating the first stage, the robot then straight up pulls out a laser gun and then starts sending rockets at us just to have him parried back at it and blow it up. At this point, I had no idea who the villain could be. Do you know who it is? Well, if you pick numbers, the terrorist kid, You would be wrong. It was actually Tim Toiler, the toy maker. This guy speaking so weirdly before made me think he was also the owner of the park, and having this strange-ass kid launching rockets at him just made me even more confused. Anyway, I had to replay the boss fight to get the robot's head and picked right the second time. And yes, the cutscene plays the exact same whether you pick right or wrong. And I just wanted to mention, range attacks are broken, and they're not just broken, it's meta. A mini-boss spawns in ready to ruin your run. Okay, well don't mind me while I just stand here and spam the same button. Where there's an angle, there's a way. And once they get hit, they have a recoil animation. It's the same as when you played a fighting game just to have your dickhead friend pick the range character and spam the one attack. The damage you hit with melee and range do the exact same amount of damage, so there's legit no reason to risk getting hit when I can just stand behind the meat shield partner. Anyway, it's time to play episode 3. In classic Scooby-Doo style, we start off with a ghost ship and a giant robotic lobster destroying boats along the harbor, and we just so happen to show up as this is happening. That's pretty convenient. Getting attacked by the wildlife. Killing the wildlife, we find crab bait and get jumped by a fisherman holding an anchor. I love the design of these guys, but they're pretty weak. The gang then learns about the Deep One from Captain Bluebeard and this douchebag Seth. As a kid, I had a crush on Daphne, as every kid did, and I remember hating Seth only because she liked him. Dude, kids are weird. I legit hated a cartoon character because another cartoon character I had a crush on liked him. Bro, little me was cooked. Wait till he found out about Fred and Daphne in Mysteries Incorporated. Nah, Fred's chill. He loves traps just as much as me. The gang then meets another captain, saying that Bluebeard sunk his ship and he thinks that he's behind the ghost ship, and tells us to head to the lighthouse. And along the way we find a giant fish with legs holding a trident and a shell as a shield, which I can confirm each time I've gone to the beach, these fish are also walking around. But I do find it unrealistic that they drop Scooby snacks in this game compared to the Arnott's Monte Carlo biscuits in real life. There must have been a licensing issue. Like 4 people knows what that is. Adventuring on past the lighthouse, we find a new clue, a bag of pearls, found in a warehouse near where Seth worked. If you ask me, I think it's him, for no particular reason. We then find a bank check from Willie to Seth. Maybe little me was cooking with this. After another chase level, we find the final clue, being Willie's boat plate from his sunken lost ship. Someone must have found it after all. Speaking of finding something, entering the boss level, we find the robotic crustacean. Throw way too many books at it, boil it alive, and then it's time to guess who we think the villain is. Surprisingly, it's actually both Willie and Seth, wanting to take all the pearls for themselves and make the big monies by scaring away every other fisherman and keeping them all for themselves. And the final episode of First Frights begins with a jump scare and the gang finally getting to the food festival. Fighting gargoyles, we enter the mansion and we meet the butler Costington and Lady Azani von Richenstuf, the Baron's apparent sister, informing the gang about the castle's curse, saying the Baron is the one who's cursed, and that the Witch Queen will threaten those who reside in the castle. Fighting Plague Doctor guards, we find the next clues. Gold nuggets found outside the castle and Cal's castle keys, saying that he must have lost them. Oh yeah, this is Cal. And this is a horde of werewolves, our next enemy. Finding an underground gold mine, we surf a lava river and get stuck falling forever. Well, this is my life now. Azani's slippers are suspiciously deep in the mine too. But before we come to any conclusions, the boys manage to yet again have a life-threatening chase. Instead of it being the monster of the episode, it's actually a group of albino werewolves. Escaping Fred and Daphne were getting a bit freaky, doing some cosplay just to get swarmed by some more werewolves, just to have the game freeze on me again. I don't know how this keeps happening to me in every game I play, but a clean reset and 20 minutes later, the last clue is found. A family photo album with the Baron inside, and it's missing Lady Azani. So if you ask me, there's no way it's not her, right? 3 of the 4 clues points to her being the villain. So as we go to confront her,
All to myself.
we enter the hardest boss intro of any Scooby-Doo game. Beating the werewolves and breaking the pillars, we then get a kinda underwhelming boss fight. Basically spam Shaggy's range attack, move slightly, and repeat. Beating the boss, we flee with the Baron as the castle's crumbling down. Now who do you think it is? If you said it's Lady Azani, you're wrong. No, I'm just messing with you. For the final level, I would have thought it was a bit harder to figure out who the villain would be, but in the end, it is a kid's game.
It was a tricky mystery to figure out.
Okay, maybe it was a bit hard for some people. Finding out that the Baron didn't have a sister, the gang figures out that Azani was the curse itself. Then The game ends with a witch flying at the screen. Very spooky. Once you've beaten the game, there are trophies that are basically achievements, costumes, and enemy characters you can unlock with the Scooby Snacks. The ability to play Explore mode pretty much only used to replay levels and get medallions you couldn't get on the first playthrough, and mess around with random enemies. In short, I liked First Frights. It was nostalgic, had a nice charm to it, the animations were really good for the time, and they hold up very well. Story wasn't bad, and the laugh track just made everything better. And with that comes Scooby-Doo Spooky Swamp, the sequel to First Frights. Spooky Swamp starts off with a shack from the first game, and it's actually the clubhouse from the second IRL movie. I don't know why this took me so long to figure out, but it's pretty cool. Velma knocks into Shaggy, making him drop his sandwich, and starts his villain arc. Now I'm just going to summarize Spooky Swamp a fair bit. It's basically the same as First Frights. It has the same models from what I could tell. The gameplay is pretty much the same, but you can't double jump now. Range attacks do half melee damage, so a hard nerf on that, and you can't power attack. Instead, you can pick stuff up and throw them. Not gonna lie, just a hard nerf on everything combat-wise. Hard cut, this is what I'd imagine Shaggy's dream girl to look like. She's the reason this game exists. She tells us to head to the different locations of the game. All 2 of them. And to add to that, the game only takes 4.5 hours to beat. Bro, I swear when I was a kid, it took way longer. Although that might just be because I was really dumb. But still, the gang first heads to El Muncho. We get arrested, find Costington in his new mansion, bro up after leaving the Baron, I guess. And we find the skeletons from El Tigre and clap them. The map was pretty much backtracking the game, so... Hard cut again, this is the big bad of the area chasing down the boys. Dropping the sheriff's star badge, we pretty much know who it is. The sheriff. Battling the boss, beating the boss, we pick the wrong suspect and get the chili for the girl in the swamp. 2 hours down and we're already halfway through the game. I'm not disappointed, you are. Back at the clubhouse, the gang conveniently wants to have a holiday with Daphne's cousin Anna at the next location the swamp girl wants us to go to. So that's nice. With one more ingredient needed for Leela, we head off to Howling Peaks. Snow levels are normally my most hated level types, but low-key, this one's not that bad. Repeating characters from other games I don't mind, I kinda like it. It feels more like a reference to those who played the first one, but when you reuse models, that's when it feels lazy. The toy box and the toy bears are for some reason in this episode, and on top of that, you remember those giant white werewolves from the chase level from First Frights? Well, now that's just a common enemy, and it only takes like 4 hits to kill. That sucks. This is Barry. He gives us a can of beans, and in my brain, I thought, okay, I want this. I wanted to carry this around with me for the whole game. So when I found out you can't, and the elevator in fact ate my can of beans, I was not a happy camper. This is Moose. He is Anna's love interest, and this is Dustin Planks. He's in charge of the log cutting area. With 3 suspects met, you'd think we'd have to slowly try and figure out who the culprit could be, right? Well, the game pretty much just tells you who it is. It is indirectly, but still. Also, while playing, there's this really annoying enemy who just sometimes ignores its own gimmick. You see, it will constantly try and ram you. Unless you're too close, then he'll just swing at you. But while running at you, if you throw something at him, he'll bump into the wall, giving you the chance to hit him. But occasionally, he just ignores that and keeps ramming you. Wait, okay, no, wait, no, not like that. In the boss fight, there's an alpha version of this enemy, and I mention this because if you get hit by him, he'll stun lock you and keep hitting you until you somehow manage to escape or you die. Beating the boss Beans and making him fart enough, sadly, I am not joking, we unmask the giant and see it's some randos instructed by Moose. This guy is a douchebag low-key. But picking the last ingredient for the swamp girl, we get caught and confess to the gang and make our way back to the clubhouse and head to her. With the gang with us wanting to introduce themselves, Leela the swamp girl could not care less and just wants the ingredients from Shaggy and Scooby. Handing it over, she just turns into a giant alligator and we enter the final boss fight. This caught me so off guard, but I was all for it. Using the melons conveniently stored next to the mini catapults, we fire them and find out that she didn't actually turn into the beast, but the battle continues. Using thorns around the area, we bait it into attacking us and enter the last stage. Throwing the ingredients into the cauldron, the alligator drinks down the forbidden soup and backflips into the water. After the fight, Fred finds that Leela baited the gang into going to each of the places with fake letters and pictures of the gang on pinup boards, even making fake phone calls pretending to be Costington to convince the gang to head to El Muncho. But stay with me here, she only did it to feed her pet alligator Suji, so I forgive her. I mean, could you stay mad at a face like that? I know I couldn't. And this whole time, the boys only helped her because they wanted some of the stew. So, at the very end, Leela throws a Scooby snack into the cauldron and food flings out of it. Yeah, I don't know.
Gotta be dreaming. Scooby-Doo.
But the game ends with you versing the NPC Shaggy to make the biggest sandwich. And you already know your boy won. So yeah, that's the end. Spooky Swamp felt more like a DLC for First Frights, and when it cost the same as a full game, it felt like a bit more of an insult for the fandom. Both games costed me $70 each, and that was back in 2010, so with inflation taken into note, it's roughly $80 to $85 for 4.5 hours of gameplay in Spooky Swamp. Yikes. All that aside, these games were such a nice nostalgic replay for me, and I was surprised how much I remembered about these games, to the point where I could still remember the Phantom Stage 1 boss theme word for word. I just think I have autism, but only for songs in games and TV shows. Don't even get me started on SpongeBob songs. The reason I made this video is I wanted to encourage people to play older games we loved from our childhood, whether that's ones that brought us comfort or even scared us, and just see how we play them differently now. So if you take anything from this video, play that game you keep hidden away. Play that game that brought you so much joy or even frustration as a kid. Say hello to the Pokemon locked away in your Game Boy or DS cartridge. Talk to the villagers from your Animal Crossing village, or even boot up a sesh of The Simpsons Hit and Run. I was gonna say play Happy Wheels, but we all know what happened to that artifact. Rest in rip, Flash. So thank you for watching and have a good one. See ya.